There's no time to waste when it comes to solidifying the Denver Broncos middle linebacker unit. So I have come up with some replacements, not supplantments. I'm not getting rid of anybody, but players that you could sign or players that you could trade for to help bring in and solidify the Denver Broncos linebacker room. Welcome in Broncos Country to the Broncos Breakdown. On today's episode, it's exactly what I'm telling you. Why do we need some other middle linebacker help? Well, it's because 3 linebackers for the Denver Broncos are currently dealing with some serious injuries. Dre Greenlaw, who has not stepped foot on the field yet and hasn't practiced since July 31st. Drew Sanders, who is on short-term IR after getting injured during training camp, and Justin Stranad most recently also with the foot injury, although Stranad's a little different. I think his is more precautionary because you clearly need him to play because the other guys are not available. Before I get into my replacements, we're almost there. We are this close to 41,000 subscribers here on the channel, just 222 away. So if you want free Denver Broncos content, if you want to keep up with the latest news and rumors surrounding your favorite team, the only thing you got to do is hit that subscribe button. It's free. So I've been saying for months, by the way, not to, be the one that said I told you so, because that's not what we do. But I have been saying for months, you need another linebacker. And the pushback was insane. No, we don't need another linebacker. Everybody's healthy right now. Singleton's healthy. Greenlaw is healthy. We've got Karene Reed. We've got Lavelle Bailey. We've got Drew Sanders. We're fine. Well, no, it turns out that we're not fine. So now here's what I'm saying to you. To help bring a solution to Mile High, the Broncos need to sign or trade for another inside linebacker. Even if you were to go with a guy like Drew Sanders, it's going to take him a couple of weeks to get back into playing shape. So we're talking about even if you didn't want to go out, if you wanted to use the guys that were currently on your roster, it would take a minute for those players to ramp back up. So let's go with the linebacker solutions. I've got 4 of them. Here's a face and a name that you remember. Josey Jewell, who was released by the Carolina Panthers on July 29th. And in 2024 for the Panthers, 97 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, and 2 fumble recoveries. I'm not going to pretend that Josey Jewell is the answer to our prayers because he's not. But what does he offer? Well, a familiarity with the Denver Broncos. He played for them his entire career. And when he has been playing for the Denver Broncos, or when he was playing for the Broncos, he was a stat machine. 453 tackles, 21 for loss, 9 sacks, and 14 quarterback hits. He is a player that understands what it means to play for this organization. He would jump into Vance Joseph's defense, already knows what Joseph likes to do. He will be just fine as a player. And the reason you can go out and sign him is because when the Panthers released him, they designated him to come back onto their team, but so far he has made no interest or showed no interest in going back to playing for them. He's currently sitting on his couch right now, just waiting to get back to being healthy. And there's the other concern. He also has injury concerns. Most recently, it's a concussion. So, like I said, at this point, you're not going to go out and get players that are all pro caliber without giving up major trade compensation. Jewell is a player that you could sign for cheap, who granted has injury concerns, but understands the system, understands Vance Joseph, knows the city, and could plug and play immediately. So when it comes to a player like Jewell, I would say he's probably second or third on my list. Let's go to my next guy, Isaiah Simmons. I told you to keep an eye on this name when I started today's live show. But Isaiah Simmons offers something. And shout out to boss man Jay, who originally put me out onto this guy, because when he mentioned to me this name, I remembered the draft. I remember when he got drafted by the Cardinals, and I thought he was an athletic freak. And he is. Hasn't really materialized into his NFL career in terms of productivity. However, This is a guy that has elite traits. 329 tackles in 5 seasons. He was drafted 8th overall in the 2020 draft. So a first-round pick, and he was released recently by the Packers on roster cutdown day on August 26th. The reason I say Isaiah Simmons is because, one, he is an athletic freak. His traits are off the charts. And when you take a look at the kind of player that you're getting from a sheer mold perspective, he's got the speed, he's got the size, he's got the strength that you want in a middle linebacker. And if he's a player that you just put on the practice squad, that's totally fine. So here's what Panthers Wire had to say about it, because they targeted Isaiah Simmons. It just didn't materialize. But here's what Panthers Wire had to say about this guy. Wanting to tap into his athleticism, sporting a 4.39 second 40-yard dash, a 39-inch vertical in his 6'4", 238-pound frame is insane. The Packers used Simmons at linebacker through camp. He had 19 combined tackles and 2 tackles on special teams in preseason games, but struggled in pass coverage and couldn't find consistency when on the field. Well, we know now that the Green Bay Packers look like one of the best teams in the NFL, and it's not close. But like I said, time and time again, this dude is an athletic freak. A 4.39 40 at 238 pounds, at 6'4". You can't teach that. And Vance Joseph has been known to want players that have that extreme athleticism. And I'm sure you're wondering, okay, we've heard about the traits. What about the productivity? What are the stats look like? Well, let's just go through the last 4 seasons. In 2024, it wasn't great. He was a rotational backer, so he only got on the field a limited amount of time, 21 tackles. So we have to go all the way back to 2022 when he still played for the Arizona Cardinals, when he was a starter. So 2022 was the last time that he was a full starter. 99 tackles, 5 for loss, 4 sacks, and 7 pass breakups. You mean to tell me this guy couldn't make a difference? You're fooling yourself. He is my first choice. This is a guy that could come in as a rotational linebacker for the Denver Broncos and notch 65 tackles, 3 for loss, a sack, maybe a sack and a half. Now, like I said, he's not perfect, right? He struggles in pass coverage. But I don't need him to be great in pass coverage. Can you solidify the middle of the field? Can you stop the run? Can you put pressure on the quarterback when we need you to put pressure on the quarterback? If so, you're my first choice. And if you want to come in on a veteran minimum, that's even better. Because right now, he's currently unemployed. I'm sure he'll take any opportunity he can, especially to play for the likes of Vance Joseph at Mile High. So would you sign Isaiah Simmons? S for sign, P for pass. Let me know in the comment section down below or in the live chat if you're watching during our live show. Coming up, I'm going to tell you my 2 other solutions for the Denver Broncos at middle linebacker while Dre Greenlaw struggles to get onto the field. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you about my friends over at Prize Picks. You and I we make decisions every single day, I should say. But on Prize Picks, you can actually get paid to be right. All you have to do is download the Prize Picks app, join millions of users, and sign up today. Very simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make sure your picks are turned into cash all season long on Prize Picks. How does it work? Just like this. I've got the combo lineup. Baseball and football. Matt Olson for baseball, and then I've got James Cook, Michael Penix, and Patty Mahomes on more than half a passing yard for my max discount play. All you got to do is download the Prize Picks app and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Here's a trade option that you could explore here. So this is obviously, out of all of the guys on this list, this is probably the best linebacker on the list, Tremaine Edmunds from the Chicago Bears. All right, gear up, because this is what I'm going to say about the Chicago Bears real quick. They're very much on their way to having themselves a fire sale. That team is a dumpster fire right now. Now, Tremaine Edmunds is a player that, when he was coming out of college, was touted as an all-pro or a future All-Pro. He's fallen short of that mark, but I will say this. He is a player that has definitely earned himself a starting linebacker role every single season. He's good enough to be a starter. I wouldn't say that he's great enough to be an All-Pro. But like I said, the Bears are on the verge of just blowing the whole thing up. They suck. They absolutely suck. They gave up 52 points to the the Detroit Lions on last Sunday, and that's just embarrassing. Anytime you give up 50 points to an NFL team, you should absolutely look in the mirror and ask yourself if you should be playing football. But let's go back to Tremaine Edmunds for a second. So far, throughout 2025, it's been kind of meh. 14 tackles, 1 for loss. He's just kind of that player that, like, does everything. He can set the edge a little bit, stop the run a little bit, go up against the pass a little bit. He does everything well, just nothing great, if that makes sense. Now, what are the pros of Tremaine Edmunds? Well, he's got unique size with long limbs and a rangy frame. He's got that rare, like, reactive athleticism that you want, so he's a very reactive and instinctive player when it comes to that type of stuff, and he is effective in coverage ability. There have been times where he's very, very good in pass coverage, but what is the con? Well, it's not every play. He's slow to diagnose those plays. He hasn't really lived up to the contract that the Bears gave him in terms of productivity and wins. Like, let's be honest, the Bears have sucked the last couple of seasons. And he's got these mental lapses in focus where he'll drop back in man coverage and he'll just get completely torched because he went the wrong way. It's just something that you watch on the film and it's like, where was he going with that? So when it comes to his football IQ, it's probably not the highest that you would look for. But outside of that, he's a very instinctive and reactive player and someone that if you did trade for, you wouldn't have to give up a ton, maybe a 5th or a 6th round pick. So Tremaine Edmunds is obviously something that you could trade for in order to jump in right next to an Alex Singleton if you needed to. And finally, let's go with someone that's already on our roster. Lavelle Bailey. I don't know about you guys. I've said it multiple times on this channel. I love Lavelle Bailey. I think this is one of the players that should have made the 53-man roster. I was so upset when he didn't. But he had a great preseason, and he's good in coverage. He might not be a guy that you blitz, but you don't need him to, right? You've got Jonathan Cooper. You've got Nick Bonito, Zach Allen, Jonah Ellis, Dondre Tillman, Q Robinson, Savion Jones. I could just keep going. All of those guys you can send on blitzes to get after the quarterback. Lavelle Bailey happens to be one of the best on the Broncos, even on the practice squad, as a coverage linebacker. It's what he was known for at Fresno State. So why not call him up, sign him to his contract, and let him just ride out the rest of the season on the 53? I think he's great. But the bottom line is, if it's not any of these 4 players, then fine. But you got to make a move. Because I can foresee what's happening right now. We're being told every week that Dre Greenlaw's injury and Drew Sanders is going to come back and where it's all going to be okay. But I can absolutely see that come week 7, Dre Greenlaw has still not set foot on the NFL field. And then it takes even longer when he does to get back into playing shape. So if you want the solution, you've got to get active, not reactive. Before we end today's episode, like I said, we're this close to 41,000 subscribers here on the channel. So make sure if you love Denver Broncos content, hit that sub button. Broncos Country, a reminder to also like the video. That is free as well. A mile-high salute to you. Be cool.